can always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Reb Media in partnership with TSN, it is season 7 of the Rain Dregs Hockey Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. NHL hockey cards are back. A fresh 234 card collection from Upper Deck is there, waiting and ready. You can find your favorite NHL stars, specialty inserts, and rare autographed cards as well. You could even uncover golden prize cards for a VIP trip to the 2026 Stanley Cup Final, or for the first time ever, win a brand new car. And Ray, you know this. Both myself, Holly Dreger, are into the NHL trading cards. Brought to us by Tim Hortons. To a degree. I don't know if you can see it. Look at
I do, yeah.
Look at, that's the binder. I'm not doing a very good job displaying all the glare and
okay,
else.
Drakes, you know what is amazing about that? I remember, that brings me right back to my childhood.
Nice.
There used to be this thing called the NHL Power Players, and you used to get these little stickers at, I forget a particular gas station, whichever one it was, and you take the stickers and put them in their teams in the book, and that thing was a keepsake for, forever. That book from Tim Hortons is awesome.
It's awesome.
Fantastic.
And look, so Matt Hanley's the gentleman, he's a buddy of mine. He owns the Tim Hortons franchise locally here in Brooklyn, Ontario. And he and I were going back and forth on these NHL cards yesterday. And I said to him, you know what we do? And you've heard this, Holly collects all these cards, gets them at the drive-thrus. And then we packed them together with this binder and donate them to the Darlene Jackson Memorial Golf Tournament in the summer. And if you're a dad of a young child, why wouldn't you want that, right? So right now we've got 100 unopened packs. So 300 cards at least.
Awesome.
And the binder. It's a good silent auction item. And he's like, ooh, I'm going to steal that idea. So
right.
There you go.
Good. Hey, you know what? As you bring up Tim's to start though, I was wondering, and you ask Matt, do they have a product that's almost like an instant coffee that I could bring on the road, like in little packets or something?
Tear packets. Because that's a good idea.
Because I'm drinking hotel room coffee, which makes me yearn for Tim Hortons. I'm not even kidding. When the Zuby's Created Open came up and the coffee is brewing, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I want.
Okay, now you're into something here. It seems like they would have or have had in the past, because look, I mean, the marketing genius at Tim Hortons probably elevates beyond you and I having a conversation about these things on the podcast. But it's a heck of an idea. It really is, because you're also in the U.S. And
yes,
there are franchises in the United States, but
hard to
much
find.
More
hard
difficult.
to find.
Hard to find.
Yeah.
Okay, well there you go. And we're pushing that one right onto the marketing table at the mothership of Tim Hortons. Game 3 of the World Series, an 18-inning monster. Freddie Freeman with a walk-off home run gives the Dodgers a series edge 2-1. Game 4 tonight, Tuesday night. Bullpens are depleted on both sides, although Shohei Ohtani gets the start for the Dodgers. I mean, there's no such thing as a one-man wrecking crew, but he's as close as you're going to find in a World Series based on what we've seen so far. And who knows what we might see with him on the mound tonight.
It is, I think he's the greatest baseball player of all time. I just,
right up there.
But I don't even think it's right up there. He's the best hitter.
Yeah.
He's one of the best pitchers. Like, there's nobody in the history of the game since Babe Ruth, when he decided that he wasn't going to pitch anymore, just hit. But nobody else can do what he does. Like, he might get one swing today, Like when he goes up to bat today, he might get one swing, and that'll be in the first inning because he's leading off the game. Any
Yeah.
other time, if he's not leading off an inning, why would they throw a pitch to him? Just tell him, don't even take your bat out of the rack. Just walk
Right.
down over there. Like unless the bases are loaded and there's nowhere else to put him. But I wouldn't let that guy take one more swing. He is like, did you not feel when they were down a run, like, and he came up, you're like, he's probably going to hit a home run here.
Yeah,
Like that's what I felt.
Why
like.
wouldn't he?
I mean, because they had a stat on. I'm watching the game in the States, of course. So they had a stat on Fox. His last 7 official at bats at Dodger Stadium, 5 home runs and 2 doubles. Like, just don't throw him any more pitches.
What are you pitching this man for?
Oh, the Jays had a couple of chances and they
did.
Just couldn't push it over the finish line.
So put it in hockey terms for us. 18 innings, like I said, the bullpen's basically depleted by that point of the ball game. But now you've got that turnaround, and that turnaround is no joke as they're set to go at 8 o'clock Eastern tonight. So as an athlete, and in the regular, like, what are you feeling in trying to prepare for that one?
Sluggishness is going to be the biggest thing to battle for them. Is like they're just going to feel a little off, a little slow when they, now of course they can recover with the drinks and you get massage and all this stuff that we just didn't have and guys didn't have 10 years ago. But now you can, they would have been on it last night and today, but they're going to feel like a bucket of when they wake up today. And the real there's always pressure on the pitchers, but because the game went the way it went last night, like Bieber and Ohtani have to be able to get some innings out of those guys because there's just nobody left. I mean, there's like the guy that closed out the game for the Dodgers yesterday threw 4 innings. He's not available today. So there'll be a lot of pressure. I wonder if Bichette can play. Like he's hobbling around out there. It'll be a survival test today. By the way, Vladdy Guerrero, unbelievable performance as well.
Really strong.
Now I woke up at 4:30 Pacific yesterday to get on my flight to fly to Philadelphia. The last thing I needed was an 18-inning game. I was
in the East.
I picked up a little adrenaline around the 12th, and I stayed up but I just couldn't. I was like, please, somebody just end this so I can say,
jeez.
But in full disclosure, Drake, I didn't make it.
I didn't either. I made it to the 13th. And then I was trying, but I made the fatal blow was getting into bed and turning the TV on. I should have just stayed in the chair in the living room upright. You got a chance. So I just thought I'll close my eyes in a commercial break. And the next thing I wake up and I don't know what the hell was on TV, but it wasn't baseball anymore. So look at that, full disclosure. Marathon effort ahead in the National Hockey League on this Tuesday as we record Ray and Drake. So we'll get into that in a bit here in the headlines, brought to you by the Canadian Brew House. Hey, hockey lives at the Canadian Brew House, as you know. Catch every game with beer specials, game day prizes, and so much more. All at the best hockey house, baseball house in town. See in store at thecanadianbrewhouse.com for details on what your local brew house is up to this hockey season and World Series. Tough to segue because I do want to talk about, all teams playing on this Tuesday. You're a big part of that, right? It's a fun day in the National Hockey League.
It really is.
A distraction, kind of, I guess, to what's going on in the World Series. We'll get there in just a second, Ray. But how about Sid Crosby? Top 5 in NHL scoring now with 14 points and even 7 goals, 7 assists, 1,701 career points in 1,362 games. And individually, as remarkable as that is, at 38 years of age, the Penguins are 3rd in the league and 2nd in the Metro. I mean, this club has been teetering on reconstruction for a while, and yet here is the captain of the Penguins, and here is the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, how do you explain this start to the early goings of this regular season?
Why, I think everything that needed to go right has gone right for them. They're certainly energized. They've got, for the first time in a decade, they got a new coach, a new voice, a new way of playing.
Yeah.
I think Mike Sullivan's a terrific coach, although he's not having much fun in New York right now.
No.
But Dan Muse goes in there, and everything's just a little different, right? So guys, I don't know, you just feel it. So for some guys, like, he's not a big name, but a guy like Ryan Shea, he gets a new chance. It's like new eyes looking at him. Justin Brazeau comes in. They put him on a line with Anthony Mantha, who missed all of last year, and Gino Malkin. And Malkin's leading the league in points. But they got these three monsters out there. Now, will they be able to, continue? I don't know. Skating is the trick for all three of those guys. And when the games pile up, they might not have it, right? Sid is just a freak of nature. I was watching the game last night, and I'm like, he looks the same as he did a couple of years ago. I was kind of pissed that he got his 1700th point, because I was hoping he would get it today when we were broadcasting.
Yeah.
But just a remarkable on every turn career. And so, like, it's not like he loses one of his wingers, Ricard Raquel, for 6 to 8 weeks. Now there's going to be another test for them, right? Yeah. And so they've got Philip Hallander, who gets called up, and you go play with Sid and Brian Rust, and doesn't seem to matter. Like, everything that needed to go right has gone right in Pittsburgh so far. They've had an awesome start.
Really have, and you get that feel, and I think we've seen this from Sidney Crosby from the moment he stepped in the National Hockey League. And every player loves playing the game. Otherwise, you don't elevate to the best league on the planet. You just don't. That has to be in your DNA. Yet I'm watching a video the other day, and I think it was the equipment manager's little guy was on the ice with him. Yeah. Essentially a toddler on skates, and Sid is fast, right? Like, he's as dialed in as he can be, and you've seen him practice a ton over his career, and he practices hard. And in the off season, anybody who practices with Sid, trains with Sid in the off season, comes away from that first skate and goes, ooh, you put Nate McKinnon and Sidney Crosby on the same sheet, there's no messing around. Like, if you're half-assing it out there, you're getting chewed out. These guys, they put in the work in the offseason, but he's got that wonderful balance of love of the sport, as we see the way he plays, the fun that he had with the little guy the other day, and an insatiable appetite to be as good as he can be and win in the process.
The engine in him has not faded, right? Like, it is
now,
year after year after year. This is 20 years, and he just drives ahead all the time. It's even when he's super frustrated, like, because these last couple years haven't gone very well in Pittsburgh, and he's still point a game player. He's still the best player. He still separates himself in the way he prepares and plays. It's he's just an amazing ambassador for the game. And if you're any of these young guys that are coming up and wondering, like, what's the right way to do it, it's that way. Like that. Right. If you could muster that up, there's the other thing, that people will say, why don't you just do it and follow Sid around? Well, because you can't.
Right.
Like, you don't have it. Like, everybody's not built the same. Sid's built different, and he is, man, the Penguins are lucky. Holy smokes. From Mario to him.
Crazy.
It's been a pretty good run.
Great start for Crosby and the Penguins. How about New Jersey and the Utah Mammoth? Arguably the talk of the National Hockey League right now. So the Devils have won 8 straight as we record. The Utah Mammoth have won 7 in a row. Nick Schmaltz, Ray, tied for the NHL scoring lead with Jack Eichel. Logan Cooley, 7 goals. Dylan Guenther, Clayton Keller, JJ Peterka, all with great starts. Vejmelka leads the league with with 6 wins. You know, it's one of those franchises that even though they're still young in Utah with Ryan Smith, new ownership, you feel good for the group, right? I don't know that it's sustainable. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. We're going to find out here that, you know, they've got a good nucleus of young talent. But one of the better stories in the NHL, when you think of how many times this franchise, new in Utah, I understand, through the dog years of just mucking it out in Arizona, have gone through. It's nice to be able to talk about Utah in a positive way, a sustained positive way, whether they're able to carry on or not.
I mean, I don't know what their season's going to be like, but they're like Montreal, right? Like there's a lot of good ahead of them, and it's because there's some players that their best asset is their birth certificate, that they're young because they've got lots of promise and all that. The best players have the birth certificate and they're already good. And that's what Montreal has, Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield and Lane Hudson. And that's what Utah has with the group you mentioned. The one thing you did not mention in all those players is any defenseman.
Right.
And so if there's a place of growth,
he's doing okay though, right? I didn't mention him.
Yeah, but but he's not in that 22, 23-year-old group. So I like that. Bill Armstrong did he did an interview and I laughed when I saw it because he was in the witness protection program in Arizona there for years. I mean, nobody was asking him for any interviews. Now that everybody wants to interview him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll do this. You bet. This is great fun." But he said they're about 60% built, and their goaltending it holds up with Vejmelka. I mean, he looks like he plays with tape on his skates, right? Like he's the most unorthodox. I don't know, but he just stops it. He stops the puck. But they could use probably certainly a depth in goal, and the defense is the trigger point for them. But man, they're a fun team to watch too.
Yeah,
young teams. I just watched Montreal and Vancouver. Young teams have no scar tissue, so they're not scared of anything. They just go play, and if somebody screws up, then they just go play.
Yeah,
it doesn't get any deeper than that. So I'm really quite enjoying watching Utah.
Yeah, quick story. So take you back to the Sphere in Vegas in the draft, and I'm standing behind the curtain, and somebody with Utah walks by. Chris Johnson and I are standing there having a conversation. I'm like, "Hey, anything going on?" "Yeah, there could be." I'm like, "Well, what does that mean?" "I can't say." And like a minute and a half later, Bill Armstrong walks by. I'm like, "Bill, you got something cooking?" "Yes, we do." I'm like, "Really?" I said, "Can you share anything?" "Nope. Just buckle up because it's a good one." And he's walking away like this is happening in 10 seconds. I'm like, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Very serious." And he just keeps walking. And so I think I tweeted something along the lines of, "Hey, Utah is up to something." And it sounds like, you do play-by-play when you're on the draft floor. That's what you do. Had no idea. And that was like a minute before they announced the Sergachev trade. But he was like strutting down that walkway, just trying to get back to the Utah table. So must feel pretty good for Billy Armstrong, as you identify.
Yep, I bet it does. It also probably doesn't hurt to not wonder, if you can keep the lights on. I mean that takes a lot of pressure off those guys for sure.
Less surprising is the start of the New Jersey Devils. Again, like you don't expect any team to rip off 8 wins in a row. They're doing it in different ways, but special teams seem to be driving the bus for the New Jersey Devils. Jack Hughes last week was the 3rd star of the week in the National Hockey League with 6 points in 4 games. But they're doing this amid some adversity too, right? Like so many injuries this time of year as players come off the preseason and whatnot. And New Jersey has yet again their share of injuries, but they're finding ways to win with their penalty kill and their power play being a big part of that.
Yeah, it sounds like I think Brett Pesce's out for a bit.
Yeah.
And and that's a pretty good loss for them. But man, Dougie Hamilton's had a really good start for them. So
Yeah.
just to what you say, if one guy's out, somebody else seems to be filling in the top of their lineup, right? Like Hughes and Bratt and Heischer are just terrific players. They lug
Yeah.
that team around for sure. Meyer is always an interesting guy to me. He's not a creator. He's got to be a finisher. He doesn't have great vision on the ice, but he's a bull and he can really shoot the puck. And
Yeah.
they're another team. These guys, like they're kind of fun just to watch because they buzz around. Like the power play penalty kill heaviness always concerns me for a team when they're so reliant on it, because October hockey is certainly different than December hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point that's got to have a better ratio of of 5-on-5 goals to power play. It's great to have an amazing power play, but
Yeah.
no team wins the Stanley Cup with poor penalty killing and poor 5-on-5 play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the power play stuff always seems to, it's a nice weapon, but Jersey's good. They're a scary team, and they like to go. They're another team that they're just kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Ottawa now, if we can just take a minute to talk about that Boston Ottawa game on Monday night. Ottawa is back online. Third straight win last night. Back to back, they put up 7. Drake Batherson has clearly found his stride, which is welcome news given the injury to their captain, Brady Tkachuk. He has back to back 3-point games. The Sens went 4 for 5 on the power play against Boston. Marco Sturm, post-game Ray, said, quote, "Probably not serious enough from the start, and that's really unacceptable." Every time I watch this team, though, I mean, of course, you're drawn to Pasternak, and they've got a few interesting pieces, really, really good players, but they're just seemingly stuck in the mud as an organization in terms of the direction that they want to go in or how they get there. They've got some pieces coming, perhaps, but I can understand the appetite of the market. Boston is a hard town to rebuild, even renovate in, isn't it? So you almost are
Yeah, but I
drawn to bring in
disagree.
those guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I disagree, because even if it is a hard place, Drake's, like, it's one of the great sports cities in America.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
But let's say it's hard to retool. We don't want to use rebuild. Everybody seems to get their pants in a knot over that.
Right.
Eventually, you've traded away all your draft picks trying to stay good, which they have been since 2010, right? They had a 14-year run where they were
Yeah.
really good. Then they missed the playoffs. How are you going to get any better if you don't bring in more younger talent? Like, they went out in the offseason. Like, I think they're being stubborn right now. They went out in the offseason and they wanted to get tougher and harder to play against. And I understand that, because it's somewhat easier to get those players than it is to get the highly skilled players. Nobody's giving you
Right.
their skill guys. So you look at their team, and if Geeky and Pasternak, like, they're their top line,
Yeah.
they're trying to get Middlestad untracked. They're trying Zaka on the wing so Middlestad can play the middle. Zaka's a centerman.
Yeah.
So they're all like, Charlie McAvoy's had a average at best start. Lindholm's been hurt again.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to make of the goalies. I mean, they just get pounded in there. And so to me, they have to step back.
Okay.
Like, I don't see any way around it. And so some of the pieces that they probably don't want to trade, you can get good assets back.
Right.
If you pick up a couple of firsts and a couple of B+ prospects in those trades, then you're rolling the ball downhill a little bit. Right now, it's like they're shoving it up the hill, and that just is not it. I totally understand the frustration and how hard it is to get from the place they're at to move up. I
Mhm.
get it. And nobody wants to rebuild. Look at look at the Red Wings. Nobody wants
Yeah.
to do it because it takes so long. But you eventually you just have to say, you know what, we got to do it. Like are the
Yeah.
Rangers and the Bruins not kind of stuck in the same place?
Kind of. Yeah.
Like what are the
Yeah.
Rangers going to do? Dregs with Panarin? They can't. In the position they're in, re-signing him would be really. I don't know. I think you got to move for assets at some point here, especially if
Agreed.
the first few months of the season don't work out
Hmm.
any better than they are now. I mean, I think they should be better than they are now, the Rangers, but Boston, I think you can wait around if you want, but I just don't see where it gets much different. I just, as I said, I think they're being stubborn and trying to hang in there
Mm.
because that's the nature of the business. But oh boy, it does not look great right now there.
So a quick thought on the Sens, because I think this is where we thought Ottawa would get to. And it's been a challenge. Obviously, it's been a fight for them, but Greeny has that group going. They're defending well, and it's almost like they're feeding off the confidence of how well they're defending, and they're generating offense in that process, which I think is a real nice place for the Ottawa Senators to be.
Now the old Greeny, the one that I played with, would have said, "Well, what do you expect? I told you this." Now that's not the way he is anymore. Travis's teams, they defend historically. They defend hard and defend well.
Yeah.
And the question marks in Ottawa are the goaltending, like can it hold up as a duo, and whether their defense can hold up. And
Hmm.
they kind of lost their footing a little bit. And so yes, Brady Tkachuk being out is an enormous loss, but it's actually probably a good point for Greeny to say, now we have to check even more. We've got to be a more firm team. We're not going to score as much without Brady. And coaches like a little adversity. Now they don't want too much of it, but now they can drive their point across if and when Brady returns, like, whenever that's going to be, a few weeks now, they're in a way better place because they've gone through this little bit of, stumble out of the gate.
Yeah. What a day
What
today
did
in
you
the
think of their
National
new?
Hockey League.
What did you think of their new uniforms?
Uh,
I
honestly,
thought they were just okay. They was busy to me.
it is busy, and I would agree with that. That's one thing I never get caught up in, that kind of stuff. I really don't care about the uniforms. I don't. I mean, I think there are colors and all right, well, that's kind of cool. I mean, aside from the old original six, Detroit is nice.
Yeah.
Boston, you've got all of that. I get all that, but when you get into these third jerseys and some of the wild stuff that these I can appreciate why they do it, but I just go, yeah, whatever, move on. Nothing to see here. Oh,
There's the old
sorry.
farmer. There's the old farmer coming out right there.
All right, we full slate of NHL action today. What do we call it? The Frozen Frenzy? Is that what it's
Yes, we
tagged
do.
in the
We
US?
do.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
that's somebody.
And is that an
I didn't ask.
ESPN? Is that an ESPN title or is that an NHL title?
I think it's ESPN, to be honest with you, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
just get my schedule and go to the game they tell me to go to.
Yeah. So
So
you've got two
I'm in
games.
Philly.
You're in Philly for the Penguins and the Flyers. That's a 6 Eastern start. Flames and Leafs, 6 o'clock Eastern. And then it jumps to the Golden Knights and the Hurricanes at 6:30. And then incrementally every 15 minutes, which is kind of cool, right? So,
Yeah.
for a good chunk of games, if you're a hockey fan, man, your clicker's in overdrive because you're just clicking away. And then you've got the ball game on top of that at 8 o'clock Eastern. But it has to be, even though you're just focused on the one game in Philadelphia, it's still part of a spectacle, which I don't think the National Hockey League gets enough credit for on an annual basis for doing and trying these things.
See, I think this is a great night for the league, and certainly there's going to be a challenge of the World Series tonight, but a lot of people that watch baseball don't watch hockey. And so
Right.
I don't know. I mean, there'll be some impact, but I don't know how much. They would like to do it again, like in the season, like to have all 32 teams. The problem is that this year, with the 3 weeks out for the Olympics, it's
too condensed.
really hard to make it all match up. But it's really cool because there is no delay, to watching the games. You watch your game. Say you're focused in on your team, and the period ends. You just look on your app and go, which are the 6 games going on now? Do I want to watch for the next 18 minutes? And then you flip it around, right? I think it's a really great idea.
It is a good idea. Okay, let's wrap up the Canadian Brewhouse headlines with, I don't know how much you're getting asked. I know I'm getting asked a lot on radio specifically, about the Olympic teams. And in this case, specifically about Macklin Celebrini and the notion that he's playing his way into the conversation, being in the mix for Team Canada. And
sure.
I mean, there seems to be this shock and awe around that possibility. Of course, it's a long shot, given the players that he's going to have to climb over to make that roster with far more experience and pedigree and all of that. But shouldn't any player be allowed to play himself into the conversation to make it hard on Team Canada brass, Team USA brass, Team whatever brass? I mean, that's the perfect case, isn't it? I mean, Macklin Celebrini is better than Nick Suzuki or Mark Scheifele or whomever else we might conjure up on being a bubble player at this point. Why shouldn't he be in that conversation?
I think it depends. Certainly, of course, depends on the way the guy is playing, the kid is playing, but it depends on the type of kid he is, like the maturity because you're going to have to handle a role that's not going to be what you are normally accustomed to. Might be a position you're not accustomed to. This is why I think Macklin Celebrini should be in that conversation, because I think he's Sidney Crosby light. All those things, if you rewind to the start of our headlines where we talked about Sid and his drive and his love of the game and his engine and the way he trains and all of that stuff, Mac is the same. He's as close. I'm not talking about the hockey part, although we might be in 10 years, but
maybe
he is a phenomenal kid with an outsized engine. I absolutely think he should be in that conversation. And if he's playing this way, when do they have to pick the team, Dregs? December, is it?
Yeah. Early December.
So,
trying to think of the exact date, but it's,
But you're looking a month. If in a month he's playing the same way, or producing the same. Here's another thing you have to take into consideration with San Jose is they're playing ball hockey right now, right? Like they win it's 7-6 and 6-5, and like you got to play a different way. Like as we saw in the Four Nations, like one mistake is the ball game, and you can't be spinning around in the middle of the ice, waiting for a breakaway. And that's the way San Jose's games are going right now. It's like literally they're 7-6, 6-5, whatever they are. I think he's a terrific player. Like, is the U.S. going to just totally disregard Lane Hudson, or are they like, oh, you know what? We got to. I don't care if he's got any experience. What if he's just better? What if Macklin's just better fit for the bottom of your roster?
Yeah.
But the players you mentioned that weren't on the Four Nations, Suzuki and Scheifele, how are you climbing over those guys?
It's hard.
Right? Like that. Like, it's going to be really hard. Every time there's some kind of big event, we don't talk about the first 15 players. Those are the easy ones. It's the ones that don't play very much that we spend all the time anguishing about.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you think back to the Four Nations, and I think many of us are watching Team USA with Kyle Connor, right? And going, I don't get it. In terms of how you see him contribute and score at will at times in games in the NHL, and yet in that environment, it's a completely different level of compete. So
okay, so here's
why.
two. I'll give you three players that I think are all terrific players that did not have or next to nothing impact in the Four Nations. You mentioned Connor, Jack Hughes, Travis Konechny.
Right.
Like, these are really good players. Konechny's got 1 goal right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, all of a sudden, is his spot become a little bit in the sand, sliding around? And so these are all terrific players that do different things that the brass has got to watch. And see, I think Connor got lost in that tournament somehow.
Seemed to be,
and I don't think that'll happen again.
So we'll wrap up here. But if you're Canada, would you build this roster just based on, okay, who's the best? I mean, if you're a forward, I mean, if you want to go back to Vancouver 2010, they built that lineup, that roster to win a 2-1, 3-2 hockey game, right? Like it was, we're going to defend and we're not going to make mistakes. So let's make sure we have all the players that can play that way and contribute that way. And it worked. Obviously, they won gold. You're chuckling. What's going on?
I'm not going to tell. I'm not going to tell you who told me this, but it was in the evaluation time of that 2010 tournament, and when they were putting the roster together, and they were talking about taking the San Jose line all as one: Danny Heatley, Joe Thornton, and Patrick Marleau.
Yeah.
And I was in a conversation, and I said, "Do you worry about them a little bit, and defensively?" And he said, "Only when they're on the ice." And so I'm like, here are these three guys that were, at the peaks of their games, and they were like, "Oh boy, I don't know." I do think I don't think you can just take the best players. Somebody's got to kill a few penalties. It's on a North American ice sheet. There's going to be 3 power plays a game. Somebody's got to kill them.
Yeah.
Now, I know McDavid's killing penalties in Edmonton, and Crosby does all the time, but like, are those going to be your penalty killers? Or do you want to have 1 or 2 guys that really specialize in that? The defense is easy because you want puck movers balanced with somebody that can defend.
Mm-hmm.
So that the defense almost seems easier to pick than the forwards. It's the forwards to me that get a little confusing, or they start to overlap a little bit of the best players versus maybe building more of a team.
Yeah. I would love to be in that room. Like, I mean, when they're knocking it out, when it is the final roster that's to be submitted here, and how much influence does John Cooper have the hammer? Like, does he get to say, "Yeah, we're taking that guy," and Doug Armstrong goes, "Yeah, okay, John, it's your call."
Drake,
I mean,
were you in Calgary with us? Were you in Calgary with us? We went to the Canadian the center there in Calgary.
Yeah.
And they had one
there.
Were you in the boardroom when we were picking our team, and we had guys on and off, and we were writing different names? And at one point, Bob Nicholson, who was the president of Hockey Canada at the time, wandered in and he said, "Hey, how's it going?" And we're like, "No, it's good, blah, blah, blah." We talked for 3 minutes, and I think Duthie said, "What do you think of our team?" And he took a look at it and he went, "Not even close." And then he walked out the door.
That's outstanding. Well, again, I just think it would be fascinating to have the conversations because Cooper undoubtedly deserves and has earned the influence that he's going to have in the final calls that are made on that lineup. So anyway, we've got weeks and in fact, a couple of months before we need to worry too much about it. Those are your headlines. Thank you to the Canadian Brew House. Ask Ray and Dregs anything. Raymond will return on Thursday. So if you've got a question for us, you can send it our way on X and Instagram at Ray and Dregs, or on the website, rayanddregs.com. And this is the fun part of the show. Well, the whole show is fun, but this is one of the more entertaining aspects of the show, because I do get comments at me about our selections as part of the Tim Hortons NHL Challenge. Had one the other day questioning why we, specifically you and I suppose, don't participate on a night in and night out basis. I didn't respond. I don't often respond. Maybe to this one I should respond and just simply say, I forget. I mean, it's that simple. I do it on record days, normally Tuesday and Thursday, as do you, because Ryan Rishaug encourages
reminds us
to participate.
No, but they have to remind us because, they just remind us. We probably, I don't know. Should we get to this? Like, what do you think?
Well, let's bring in Zuby. Chris Sabina is going to join us, and he always walks us through because, again, if you're new to the Ray and Dregs podcast, we also have a Ray and Dregs account on the Tim's Hockey Challenge, which Zuby is overseeing and managing with zero input from you or I. So
right,
and finally,
I think Zuby, like, you should be honest. I've been in the last 4 days. I've been influencing your picks.
That's right, filtering me some inside information to help this.
Well, of course I'm not, and because he's got 4 days in a row, so now I'm taking credit, but I don't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, finally got a little heater going here in the last 4 days. I've got 7 out of 12 here in the last 4 days.
7 out of 12?
Yeah, I've had 3 days with 2 correct and 1 day with only 1. So we've elevated the Ray Dregs podcast account from the 6-figure range of overall rankings well into the 5 figures, fellas. It's not There's nothing. It's not embarrassing anymore. We've really elevated it. Getting by with little help from my friends. Leon Draisaitl, Morgan Geekie, among others. Connor Brown, former Oiler Connor Brown, of course, doing
great
well in
story.
Jersey. And you guys on the last game day, you guys both came through with 2 out of 3. And I'll tell you, there's lots of positives here, but there's a sad story here too, fellas. So you guys have both gone to 5 for 15 on the game days, 125 points. But it's been a tough ride for Rishaug here. And by the way, rumor has it Randine Rishaug is on a 5-day heater, but the other Rishaug, not so much. He's still stuck at 3 for 15, 75 points. He's fallen well behind in the overall or the internal rankings here, fellas.
Well, he texted me and he said, "I can't believe Brady Tkachuk didn't score the other day. I picked him, and, so it's really been a tough one for Ryan."
All right. You pick one injured guy because you're not quite paying attention, and then you're going to eat it for the rest of the year.
Not quite paying attention. Okay.
I mean, not quite paying attention to my pick, not the news. Yeah. I realized after. Anyway,
Canadian
fellas,
Bureau Chief. Yeah.
Make it part of your when you're brushing your teeth. You just got to make it part of the daily routine. We'll get into it every day, not just not just pod days. But that's a good. Just tie it to something else you do every day. Just takes a couple minutes. Lots of fun we're having doing the Tim's Hockey Challenge.
Awesome. Thanks, Ubi. Ray, I've got Matthew Sherwood, and I'm going back with Gabe Vilardi. I keep thinking Gabe Vilardi of the Jets is going to pop 1 or 2 on the power play.
Is that the one you got going
earlier.
Now? Huh? Yeah. That's the one you're going with today, right?
Today, yeah. Matthew Sherwood and Vilardi.
Yeah, I went Connor Slavkovsky. They're in Seattle today. And then I went with Evan Bouchard. I think he's going to probably get one-timer coming up on the power play, I think. I sense it.
So, look, I mean, I'm constantly on Rishaug, constantly about everything, as you know. And you'll take the odd jab, but I pick at him, and I feel badly sometimes. So here I'm just serving it up on the silver platter. I think it was last week, maybe the week before. I make a lot of dumb comments. This one is right up there. It's not Adam Lowry bad, but it's up there. Because I think I said something along the lines of, I like to stick with the Canadian teams in choosing my selections, the NHL Hockey Challenge. Well, it's a Tim Hortons Hockey Challenge. Like, have a look. Like, it's all Canadian teams for the most part.
If you look, I'm reading it. I'm reading it right there. It says Tim's Hockey Challenge.
It just dawned on me.
Sorry, Tims. Sorry, Tims.
No, I mean, I can appreciate, I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess it's the Tim Hortons Hockey Challenge. It would make sense. I'll be entirely focused on the Canadian clubs. So there you go. I'm just outing myself.
You guys want to move on here? Well, we still have a sponsor, or
No. It's my complete ignorance and stupidity. This has nothing to do with the Tim's Hockey Challenge, not even a little bit. I'm just saying that sometimes I pay attention and sometimes I just kind of let it zone out.
Happen. It can happen to the best of us.
Yeah, no. All right, Raymond, we know where you are. You're in Philly.
Philly.
Part of the Frozen
Flyers
frenzy going on
Flyers,
this Tuesday.
Penguins.
And then
Flyers, Penguins.
Where will we find you on Thursday? What do you got planned?
I will be home. I am I'm going home. This is a short week. I'm just actually, you know what? You know when you say you're not paying attention, I'm just checking here. Yeah, I'm home for a week. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, good stuff.
So looking
golf
forward
club's
to getting
packed
home.
away. Is there any golf, or is it just it's over? Is that the weather still? No?
Ooh, I thought I was going to get one more round in. We got a storm the other day, a rain, and you're like, I'm just, once all the leaves fall off the trees, I'm like, I'm not out there looking for my ball, and my buddies are like, oh, you got to get these waterproof golf shoes. They come up over your ankles. I'm like, I'm not putting on boots. I'm not doing that. I'll play in the spring. So
Plus, you ended on a high too, right? Your game was real nice. You don't want to go out there and be cold and messing around looking for balls and shoot 85. You don't want to end up
Okay. This is how much of a fair weather player I am. As soon as I hit one thin shot, like on the bottom of your club, when it's cold, I'm like, I don't want to be out here. My hands hurt. I want to go home.
Yeah. And
that's it. So then I'm like, what am I doing? I'll just stay home.
Yeah. I bet you that's when fun Ray comes out to play with the guys you're with. Hey, geez, Ray's going to be fun for the next 17 holes there.
No, what they know is that, he'll be gone at 9. That'll be as soon as we get close to the clubhouse. I'm gone.
All right, buddy. Well, good luck with the game, and
thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the World Series. Maybe not rest of it. We might still have a series going by the time we will. By the time Thursday.
I will. I think so. Hey, have a good weekend, or a good couple of days. Everybody enjoy Frozen Frenzy, and thanks for listening in.
You bet. Thank you to our sponsors who continue to support Ray and Dregs. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. Thank you, and thank you to the Canadian Brew House. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.